for some quick context, I really try to look at guys that we have a chance drafting based on availability. A lot of mocks and projections have these guys available at our picks. For instance, I do like a guy like Landon Jackson, but I just don't think he'll be there in the second round when we choose. So I'm not even going to talk about guys like that because I don't think we'll draft him in the first, and then I don't think he'll be there in the second. So it's kind of falling in between our sweet spots there. So Nic Scourton out of A&M, only 20 years old. He's scheme versatile. He's strong enough to kick inside to change things up. He has an array of pass rushing moves. He can change it up every play. He can show a tackle something different almost every play. High motor on top of it all. So he's not just an athletic freak. He brings it every single play, which I love. So what's really interesting about him is that he's coming off a 2023 season at Purdue. A lot of scouts had him as a top 10 pick and maybe the best rusher in the draft. The problem is, and the reason why he's there at 31 and not a top 10 pick, is that he had a falling off at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. He did not look, the guys that saw him play just say he just didn't look like the same player at all. High pad level inconsistency developed at Tech, less tenacity, just not as violent, just his playing style changed at Texas A&M. As far as inconsistencies, they say he launches off his back foot, which can be corrected. Just play with generally more fire at Purdue, had more moves at Purdue. Some people think he might have gotten a little too big at A&M. That might have hurt him, a loss of his agility. But just to table all of that, right? He won 17% of his reps in 2024 at A&M, a down year for him, right? He was coming off 21.3 at Purdue the year before, which was the best in the nation. So even his down was still 17%, right? So even somewhere in between those two, you're talking about like an elite DN. One of the counters I also saw to his drop off from Purdue to A&M was that he just wasn't asked to do the same things there. Pretty much all the A&M guys, if you look at all three of them, Turner, Stewart, and him, they all had major drop-offs this last year, and you're like, man, 3 studs on the D line, and they all underperform. That's kind of weird, right? Not if they're just – it might have been an A&M problem, right? So maybe he was just being used more as a run-stopping DN, which is good and bad. So for us at 31 who can watch Purdue tape and see his pass rushing capabilities on top of his effectiveness to stopping the run in 2024, that's amazing. Bad for him because he was a top 10 pick going into the year, now to the late 20s and 30s. So that's my general thoughts on him. Player comps, multiple sites have Trey Hendrickson, and I saw Cameron Jordan, another comp.
Pretty good comps.
Hey. Oh, what? Okay. Yeah, you finished, Tage?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So watching this film, man, and all the concerns you was talking about kind of jumped out. Wasn't my top guy that as far as edge rusher. I think he's okay. I think he does bring it. He does have a lot of fire, a lot of energy to the tape. Sometimes it just doesn't translate to the plays that you want him to, and I think that's part of his problem. 6'3", 257 is what they have. Gaining that size. I mean, we could definitely use him. The thing is, when you getting on this level in NFL, how's the transition going to be, right? And I think about guys like FAU. Is he going to fall into that category? Because if he's down at Texas A&M, it doesn't really translate on the field like you want it to. Is it going to be the same problem when you get up here to NFL? And the thing is, it's only going to magnify itself even more. Joe Cullen, I seen he was talking about Joe Cullen to get him right. Joe Cullen's had FAU here too. It's really on the player, development of the player. You can do everything you need to do to get the guy out there and say, man, look, shoot, can you be that stud for us? He has a great motor. He does. He has a great motor, man. I've seen you make some plays, running things down on screens and stuff. He does a good job of that. But is he going to be a game changer? I think at that position, at edge, we need a guy that's going to be a game changer, especially at edge, is what we're looking for.
So when you're drafting him, I think you're drafting him hoping that he's Purdue Scourton and not A&M Scourton, right? You're hoping that something happened, the coaching changed, they asked you to do something different, that you maybe, took a backseat and maybe became more of a team guy to ask them to be more of a, a run-stopping DN. Okay, I'll do what you need me to do. They're hoping that if you're drafting him that high, you're hoping he's the Purdue Scourton, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I think. If you're drafting him at 31, that's what you're doing, right? You're drafting him hoping we need to go back to that. I don't know if it was coaching. I don't know what it was, dude, but let's go. Let's see Purdue again. So if you watch A&M, I'd urge you to go watch the Purdue, because you're going to be like, dude, where is this? So, his down year is still highly productive. Just when you're coming into the year as him being your top 3 edge, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, maybe 31. It's a big difference, right? So it's interesting.
I was going to say, obviously he went to Purdue, right? And do you guys see any kind of Karlaftis compare? I mean, he went to Purdue, and I'm looking Karlaftis' numbers at Purdue. He never got close to the 10 sacks that Scourton got where he was there. Scourton got while he was there. 7.5 was Karlaftis' highest when he was at Purdue. Let's see, we got 10 sacks here for Scourton. Karlaftis measured at 6'4", 266 at the combine, and 263, 257 here. So a little bit of the difference in the size.
It's interesting you say that, because NFL.com's Lance Zierlein, great analyst, his comp is Hendrickson, but in his one little tagline, sources tell us, he plays his tail off and he's always in the middle of everything. He's a force player like George Karlaftis coming out, but Scourton has a little more rush to him. So a more refined Karlaftis is pretty much what the scouts are telling him. That's an AFC scout. Probably ours.
What do you think about that, JD, as far as a Karlaftis comparison? When you say you want someone who's got a little bit more juice, kind of more flash to him, if we got a guy who was another Karlaftis type, is that something you would be fine with? I mean, because we've hit and miss so far we've hit and miss with FAU, right? So obviously I take a Karlaftis at this point, even a Karlaftis production somewhat for FAU. I'd love that. But I mean, is that what you're saying? We're talking about like a playmaker kind of guy from the edge spot. Would Karlaftis' play be a playmaker type?
Trey Hendrickson that's a different animal altogether, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little leery as far as comparing him to that. I don't see that in him. But relentless, coming off the edge and stuff. Yeah, he shows flashes. Would I take that? Sure. I mean, would it be a first round pick? I would look more so like a game changer for a guy, pass rusher, as opposed to getting another Karlaftis. I think Karlaftis, what we wanted was a guy that was relentless, guy that was going to come after you, which we've seen Karlaftis do. But that's his MO, right? And he's done a very good job of that.
You want more of a finesse speed rusher on the other side of a high motor guy.
I need a guy that's going to be able to dominate, take a game over. And so when you have one-on-one, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for someone that teams have to scheme up who they want to block. Like when he's out there, you got to sit there and say, look, we got to block this guy. If he don't, he's going to dominate the game. And so there's a few guys obviously that's coming out in the draft that have somewhat of that ability to them. He's not that guy. Even Stewart, who was down there, Texas A&M, the other guy you was talking about, who's going to be a higher pick than him. His didn't translate into a lot of.
No, he had a down year at A&M too.
Yeah, he had a lot of sacks. They were sitting there like, man,
it's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah,
and they have another top 3 round guy. I think Shamari Turner is another one.
Turner as
Yeah,
well.
they had 3 guys in the top 2 rounds, and they didn't really kill it. It's really weird.
So they really make a whole lot of sense to me. But if you're gonna get a first round pick, he's got to be the dude. He's got to be a guy. He has to be someone that is absolutely going to terrorize tackles and offenses, like almost every single play. Like Trey Hendrickson, God, we got Trey today, and you're looking at the tackle over there, man, and that joker's knees is shaking. And you're like, what's going on? Like, Trey is showing up today. Oh, okay. Good luck. I help you out when you need it. You call for it, I help you. And so you got to do chips and stuff like that. I don't know if he warrants that type of attention. So
yeah, Kingsley learned the hard way with meeting Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. You out, help,
man. Would you also agree, because he's more of a high motor kind of guy, if they did draft him, let's say at 31 they draft him, does that kind of give you a little insight into what Veach is thinking as far as next year with Karlaftis? Maybe you kind of replaces Karlaftis. Would that be kind of a redundancy of skill from a guy like this to replace Karlaftis? The next year, maybe they say, hey, we're not going to resign Karlaftis. We're going to go the McDuffie route.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility for sure. I think you can't have too many of those high motor guys that's going to get after people. But like Bobby Nigger says, he was or Duncan's to say, if yours George also had Frank Clark, and Ali helped him learn the ways of the NFL. And so you need a guy that complements all the guys that you have. Like, we need pressures, we need sacks.
Yeah,
that's what we haven't had. We had a stout run defense that's done very well for us. But what we need to help our corners, our safeties out, our linebackers. The way that you do that is you get go-getters. You get guys that are studs on the outside that can absolutely get after the quarterback, that gives them fits. And that's what we need. We need that guy. So
I will say he's not considered like just a high motor guy. I will say that. He has like an array of moves. So he's not one of those I'll just get to him eventually type guys, because my next guy, spoiler alert, is more of those guys, and that's the difference between those two. He does have a fine. They say he doesn't give a tackle 2 moves in a row. He sets people up for counters. Like, he's got a inside move, a spin move, Euro step. He does do it. Again, it just went south from Purdue to A&M. So he does. He also has the high motor, which is awesome.
Yeah.
If he had 2 years, like they said, if he had another year like Purdue, he'd be a top 10 pick right now. But there's a reason why these guys are available at 31, or maybe available at 31.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.